interest rate hacking. It is a new program as rates are going up and up and up. Buyers are saving literally tens of thousands of dollars with some very simple steps. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly step by step how to hack your interest rate and save tens of thousands of dollars when buying a home. And it will cost you absolutely nothing, completely free. Feel free to share this with your agent if you already have one. If you don't have an agent and you're just starting to look into this, schedule a consultation down below and I will connect you with one of our teams around the country. The feds are absolutely nuts. Every time they raise rates and then let us sit for just a little while so that buyers get comfortable thinking, okay, I think I can make this work. They raise rates again and then we all jump back on the fence and we sit around waiting to see if rates are gonna come down. The market recently has come to a screeching halt, which actually is a good thing. I have another video down in the description below that talks about my predictions of what's going to happen in the housing market. It might be more exciting than you think. It is a great thing right now that the market has slowed down for you as a buyer. Right now, there are very few multiple offer scenarios. Last year, man, anytime a buyer was wanting to buy a house, there were like 10, 15, 20 offers and people were paying above asking price and waiving appraisals, and it was just a dumb market. Currently, prices have come down just a little bit, which is a great thing. We love lower prices, and sellers are extremely motivated. They're kind of freaking out right now. I just had a seller contact me the other day. They had heard that anytime interest rates go up, they're losing $22,000 in the value of their house. Totally bogus. I have no idea who would have given them this information, but sellers are freaking out. They've sat for a while thinking the market was gonna go up, go up, go up, and now they wanna sell, but there's more houses on the market and it's a slower market than what it was a year ago. So let's jump into the meat, to the specifics of what you can do to house hack. There's 4 easy steps and then a couple of really important things that we're going to talk about. There are some crucial elements to being able to house hack. First of all, you have to have a real estate agent that is a boss at negotiations. Do not think that every real estate agent is equal. They are not. There are some that are awful at what they do. There are some that are good at what they do. And there are a few that are experts at what they do, and that is a vital part of this. We could have the best plan in the world and you get an agent that just quite doesn't jive with what you want or doesn't present this message properly, and it's shot. That's where rate hacking goes to die, is with agents that are just good or that are bad. The next thing that is vital to making this happen is motivated sellers, which luckily we have a ton of motivated sellers in the market right now. And then the third key component to making this happen is that you have a lender that understands what we're trying to do, that is familiar with the programs that we are using, and that can make you look really, really good to the potential sellers. Okay, so here's what we've all been waiting for. Interest rate hacking, the 4 components, the 4 steps to interest rate hacking. First of all, we need a good price. That's easy to get today because sellers are so motivated. Number 2 is we need an interest rate buy down, and we want the sellers to pay for that. Number 3 is we want seller paid closing costs. It costs a little bit of money to buy a house. For a buyer, we want the sellers to pay that for you. And then number 4 is a special program with a fixed rate, but a little twist on it that can actually get you a lower rate. So let's start talking about the lower price. We don't just go in and find a house and say, hey, they're asking X amount for this house, so we're gonna offer 10% less. We need to go in and study what the home is actually worth, and then take a discount off of that that's reasonable, that the sellers will feel like, I just need to get rid of my house. I would rather sell it to these buyers for this little bit less than what I believe the home is worth in order to avoid making mortgage payments for the next 4 months. Now that can come in a couple of different packages. There could be a house that's already priced significantly below what the property is worth. I was just showing a home to some buyers yesterday that's $1 million home, easily $1 million. All the comps show this house probably being worth more than $1 million. The sellers have it on the market for $900,000 because they're scared of the market. They're concerned what's going to happen if rates keep going up, and they want to get rid of this house. So it's already $100,000 below value. The other form that this can take is a house that's kind of priced just right, which we need to know, and we can offer a little bit less. After that, there could be a house that's just simply overpriced. I see a lot of those right now, sellers that are like hanging on to that price, and they've been sitting on the market for 40, 60, 90 days. We want to come in with excellent negotiation skills, which we'll talk about in just a minute, and offer them something that's not only lower than their price, but lower than what a realistic price would be for the house. The next thing is an interest rate buy down. And basically what this is, the seller is prepaying interest to the lender. It's a one-for-one exchange. So if in the first 2 years you want to save $12,000 of interest, the seller pays $12,000, the lender lowers your interest rate to a point that that's how much is saved over the first 2 years of the loan. It's called a 2-to-1 buy down. Number 3 is seller paid closing costs. It costs money for a buyer to buy a house. The loan officer needs to make money. There's prepaid interest. There's title fees that you have to buy a policy for your lender that says if you default, they'll cover it. Sometimes that's called PMI insurance. There's lots of things, recording, sometimes HOA fees, sometimes prepaid HOA. There's a lot of things that go into it, and typically the cost to a buyer is about 1 to 2% of the purchase price. And we ask the sellers to cover this on behalf of the buyers, and it's totally allowed. In fact, most lenders will allow up to 3% to be covered, so you can even get a little bit of extra money sometimes to pay for things. But we ask the sellers to cover the buyer's closing costs. Now, that doesn't necessarily lower your payment, right? However, what it does is it keeps that cash in your pocket, and you can use it for repairs on the property or whatever you want. If you're really payment conscientious, and let's say you have this payment in mind that you don't want to go over, we say bank that money. If it's $6,000, put it in the bank, and every single month for 2 years, take $250 of that and use it as a part of your payment. That gets your payments even lower. The next thing, item number 4 for interest rate hacking, is what's called a 7-1 ARM. Now, we haven't heard of this for years because rates were so low. You know, if a lender says, hey, I can get you a rate of 3%, we want to lock that in forever. But right now, with rates being high, there's a high probability that rates will either A, stay the same, or B, come down over time. And most people that are watching this video that are concerned about interest rates, we all feel like rates will come down over time, right? How many of us have said, I'm not going to buy a house until rates come down? That's us saying, I think rates are going to come down. And historically, we're a little bit higher than what the historical average has been. So most likely rates will come down just a little bit. What a 7-1 ARM does is it locks in an interest rate for 7 years that's lower than what today's rate is. But after 7 years, that rate can adjust based on what the market has done. Our strategy is to get you a lower payment right now that's locked for 7 years. If during that 7 years rates stay the same, then someday you refinance your loan and you have the same payment as what you have. If rates go down, you can refinance the loan and get a lower rate. Or, like a lot of people, you're planning on moving in the next 7 years. That's actually common. The average buyer stays in a home 5 to 7 years tops. And so if you move and sell the house, then obviously that loan is paid off and the rate doesn't apply. So between these 4 items, you've just gotten a house that's lower priced, with a lower interest rate because of the 7-1 ARM, with a seller that has prepaid some of your interest, and paid your closing costs, so you can use that to subsidize, if you will, your monthly mortgage payment. That's house hacking in a nutshell. Now, we've got to talk about some other key components that will either make or break interest rate hacking. Let's start by talking about the agent that you work with. I've already mentioned they need to be really good at what they do. We've got to negotiate like a pro. We have to be able to go in and explain all of this to a seller in a way that isn't offensive. You know, if you're selling a house and I come and I say, hey, I want to buy your house and the market stinks right now, so either you're going to take my offer or you're going to sit on the market for 4 months, like that's going to be offensive. They're going to get angry and they're going to tell you no. You won't go anywhere with it. If somebody comes in and says, hey, here's our offer and here's all the things we want, and kind of leaves it like that, which is what a lot of agents do, just send the paper off, sellers aren't going to understand. They're going to say, no, we need to wait, and it's just not going to happen. We need to be able to explain, A, you are an amazing buyer, and here's the reasoning that we have put into this offer, all in a way that the seller is not offended and realizes that this is a pretty good opportunity to get their house off the market. The second thing that's just vital to what we're doing, you have to get to the house fast. If there's a good house and it's a good price and the sellers are motivated, people are still buying houses. The real estate market has not crashed. It probably won't. I have another video down in the description that's talking about market predictions. The real estate market is actually fairly healthy right now. Buyers have pulled back just a little bit waiting for rates, but there's still, in most of the country, is very low inventory on the market. And so when a good house comes up, it's going to sell. And yet you sit here with a lot of real estate agents that are kind of like, whoo, the market has slowed down. Finally, the last 2 years have been crazy. And they think they can take a day or 2 or 3 or a week to get you to a house. Maybe they're even saying, you know what, let's not go see just one house. Let's wait till a couple more come up and then get out and see it. You've got to be fast to these properties, because a killer for what we're talking about right now is multiple offers. We don't want to compete with another offer. We want to be the best option that the seller has, and that's how we're getting all of these things. And it's a good thing for the seller. We're helping them get their house off the market quickly, but don't sit around waiting for another offer to come in. Go and look at the house. If you like it, let's move. If you don't like it, we'll go look at other houses, no big deal. But this is not a slow market, it is a slower market, and the best houses are still moving quickly. Another crucial thing, and you've got to be so careful of this, don't fall in love with the house. Try to stay detached just a little bit until we see how motivated the sellers are and if they're willing to work with us and if they're going to hear the message that we're presenting to them. If you fall in love with a house, it's kind of over, right? If they say no to 3 of the 4 things that we're asking for, maybe they give you a lower price, but they say no to a buy down and no to seller paid closing costs, and now you've got a good deal, but you haven't interest rate hacked, and that's what we're talking about. You have to look attractive as a buyer. You need to go in and make this deal look so sure that the sellers don't think, well, what if we accept all of this and they back out? And that really comes into play with how the offer is presented and how well prepared you are as a buyer. And I could go into a whole discussion on lenders and what they should be doing to make you look good as a buyer. I'm just going to give you a couple of quick points and talk to your lender. If you're not working with a team that I've referred you to, you need to sit down with your agent and with your lender and have a real heart-to-heart to see if they can handle this. And if you have any questions at all, you need to schedule a consultation. Let's talk, and I'll put you in touch with a team who knows how to do this. Your lender, the couple things I want to talk about, A, they can have you fully underwritten before you even write the offer. So you can have a pre-approval letter that says you're not just pre-qualified, you're not just pre-approved. They have run credit, verified income, and submitted all of that to an underwriter and have a full underwritten approval subject only to the appraisal of the house. That looks tremendous to sellers. That's as good as a cash offer. So make sure that you have that full pre-approval underwritten and announce that to the sellers. The second thing is we need your lender to call the seller's agent. It's a very simple thing, but it makes a huge impact. You tell them, we're sending this offer in, here's the agent's information, give them a call. The lender calls up and says, hi, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, this is so-and-so, I'm the lender for this buyer. And I just wanted to let you know, these guys are stellar. We have fully underwritten their file. They have great income. They have great assets. They told me they love your house. They're ready to go. We could close this thing in 14 days if we needed to. Let's go. And that makes a huge impact on the sellers. If this sounds interesting, there's a couple of things that you need to do. Down in the description, I have some supplementary videos. Make sure you look at those and get the information that you need. There's also a link to schedule a free consultation with me if you'd like to talk and learn more, or get hooked up with a team that knows how to do this. And then finally, I have an interest rate hacking guide that I have put together. There's a link in the description that you can go to, and you can download that report instantly.